Hello and welcome to the Third and the Dawn Football Show. I am Joe. With me is Cecil Walker III. Here to talk some NFL football after an exciting, surprising first couple weeks. A lot of things going on. We have the defending champs at 3-4. We have the Jacksonville Jaguars 3-4. They're playing in London this week, so that's pretty crazy. Cowboys lose a big game. That's always fun for a lot of fans out there. Bengals get demolished on Sunday Night Football. Have to say it. Now we can move on. But a lot of different things going on. How you doing, Cease?
I'm doing all right. You just had to bring up the Bengals game. I thought we just not talk about it at all.
Well, we have to talk about it.
I guess. Anyway. But yeah, I'm doing well. We're at that midway point officially, so it's exciting to see, where the teams are going. As always, it seems like anything we thought was going to happen has not. Some teams have come back down to earth. Some teams are continuing to surprise. But I'm just ready to see how everything finally plays out because we're going to start getting close to the playoff hunt soon. I'm interested to see how that works out.
So we had a couple trades here over the last couple of days, and that is first today, Eli Apple gets traded from the Giants to the Saints for a 4th-round pick this year and a 7th-round pick next year. So effectively, the Giants are punting on their 1st-round pick from 2016 already. Kind of crazy to me, but the Saints need the depth. I'm sure he's happy to go play for the Saints. Don't know how that's going to affect everything. That's not really a major trade considering his production. I guess he has really been a little bit of a bust, but I don't know. And then we also have Amari Cooper, who somehow John Gruden got a 1st-round pick out of the Cowboys for him.
Right. Eli Apple trade, great trade for the Saints. I don't really know why the Giants were so quick to give up on Eli Apple. I guess new coaching staff, but he's been there, 3 years? 2 years? Not even that? It's been 2 or 3 years.
Eli Apple since 2016 draft, so he's had 2.5 seasons.
2.5 seasons.
Including this one. So.
He was a 1st-round pick. Sometimes guys don't come around right away. For the Saints to get him, that's great. For a 4th-round pick, that's spectacular. Only concern for me is, although Collins did say that Eli Apple was a cancer to the team on national radio a year ago. Remember that?
Yeah, Landon Collins. Oh, my God.
That's probably why he got shipped off, is because he's probably more just the locker room isn't for him. So hopefully it doesn't turn into the same thing in New Orleans. I don't think it will. It's a strong locker room. Sean Payton's a good coach. Drew Brees is there, so I don't think the same kind of meltdowns are going to happen like they do in New York. So that's good. Amari Cooper, I guess, good for the Raiders to somehow get a 1st-round pick for that. Mm-hmm. I don't know why they wanted to trade Amari Cooper that badly. He's young. He's pretty much the only really good wide receiver on their team. He just took away Derek Carr's one of his best weapons. But on the flip side, too, I don't understand why the Cowboys gave up a 1st-round pick for him. A 3rd-rounder would have been good. A 2nd-rounder you could live with. Our 1st-round pick for a receiver who's not, good. I think he's above average at this point in his career. He has talent, but he does lack the hands. That's always been his problem. And in the pros, it really comes back to haunt you. You don't get, second opportunities you do in college. So, that's a big question mark for me. Is he really going to be able to learn the Cowboys' offense that quick to make a difference this year? And I feel like a 1st-round pick wasn't the answer. I feel like even if Amari Cooper sticks around, he's not going to be a true number 1 for him anyway. And now they lose that chance to really maybe get one in the draft or get a good defensive piece to help this team rolling. So, good for the Raiders since clearly John Gruden didn't see him as part of the plan getting a 1st-round pick. I'm going to give him a B. Cowboys, I got to give a D for this. I don't really understand the 1st-round pick. I think it's kind of a waste.
Yeah, I'm a little bit confused by the Raiders' strategy. Not because I think that trading Amari Cooper 1st-round pick is bad, but now they have 3 1st-round picks in what is expected to be a very down draft class other than the defensive line. Mm-hmm. They have some decent young guys on the defensive line. Nothing great. They're still not a great defense whatsoever.
Sure.
But if you have 3 1st-round picks in a class that doesn't have some of those big-name positions and you just stack up on defensive line, is that what they're going to do? Are they going to trade some picks, trade it next year? I don't know what their plan is. It is nice to have some assets, but I'm really unsure what they're going to do in this draft class, being that it is not expected to be good. Like the trade and everything, like what they got for him, see what they can do with it. And they do have 2 picks in 2020 because of the Khalil Mack trade. For the Cowboys, even if they do get a number 1 receiver, I don't know if anyone's going to notice. If Amari Cooper is the number 1 that Jerry Jones says Dez Bryant never was, which I think is a load of crap, but
right?
but if that's the case, is Dak going to be able to find him? Is Scott Linehan going to be able to call plays where he can find him? I don't think so. I mean, and what this says to me basically is they'd better make the playoffs if you make a trade where you're giving up your first round pick. Because if not, then it's a total waste. Like, I'm with you. I think it's a D and a B for both teams. D for the Cowboys, B for the Raiders. It might get moved up to a C or a B if Amari Cooper does turn around, and if they make the playoffs, so that pick is less valuable. He is only 24 years old, so he has time to improve. But you're right. Catching the football is something you learn on day one, so it's pretty concerning that he can't figure that out.
Yeah, you either have good hands at this point in your career as a football player, or you don't. And the bigger thing is with the Cowboys' offense, it's more a systematic thing. It's not just they're one piece away. Like, just because everyone's like, they should just re-sign Dez Bryant, that wouldn't help anything. Not just because Dez Bryant's old, but you don't have Jason Witten there. You don't have the right off. I mean, one player isn't going to change the problems of this offense instantaneously. There's a lot of pieces that have left. There's just a lot, with the play calling, just the offensive mentality. They don't have those, those safety valves they used to have, and the deep threat that they had with Dez Bryant back there. Mark Cooper will help a little bit, but still, who's going to get the ball, in those intermediate routes? Mark Cooper's going to be going downfield, sure, but they need somebody that's a safety valve, someone that's a possession receiver that Dak's comfortable throwing to, and just making those right reads and feeling comfortable with the offense. And that's going to take time, and somebody in the Cowboys offense is going to have to step into that Witten role that hasn't been seen yet.
Mm-hmm. And I think this is something that our friend Dylan Strebig has mentioned before. The Cowboys have seemingly figured out at points who they are. Sometimes they forget about that. But if they run the ball at Zeke, that's how you win games. But Linehan, when they do have to pass, that's where the problem lies for me. Is they don't necessarily have the wherewithal. They don't have the players, and then when Linehan calls the plays, it's not something that goes to Dak's strength. There's been less, at least in my opinion, play action passes, and the guys can't get open. So he either has to figure something out, or they have to get rid of him. Because last year, even I mentioned a couple weeks ago, they had a couple times a 1st and goal from inside the 5, and they throw the ball 3 times in a row. That's unacceptable. That is when you have Ezekiel Elliott in a line that is good as they seemingly think it is, and everyone else does. That's unacceptable. So you're right. This will not fix all their issues. Clearly needs to be Scott Linehan probably being fired after the year.
Right.
We'll see what happens with that, though. But those are the trades right now. Let's move on and kind of recap last week with our Team of the Week first, Cease.
Team of the Week, I got to go Kansas City Chiefs. Absolutely dominated on Sunday Night Football. Bengals team is not great. They are an above-average team. They could very well win the AFC North and be in the playoffs this year. That's a signature win for the Chiefs. I mean, they just not only was the offense dominant as always, but the defense looked very good. They changed some things around. They did some things a lot of teams haven't done so far, and that's cover A.J. Green, which was impressive to me. If the defense can play anywhere near as good as they did on Sunday night the rest of the season, they're going to win a Super Bowl because that offense, yet again, there's just no way to stop it. Me having to sit there and watch it in depth for the first time for an entire complete game, it's unmanageable unless you have a completely elite defense, which besides Jacksonville, and at this point the way they're breaking down, I don't think there's anybody that can really stop them because everything's a RPO, run-pass option. No matter what you do, the offense is built up that Pat Mahomes is going to see it and do the opposite and play to the weakness. So every time defensive players got to make a decision, Pat Mahomes has been good enough at diagnosing plays that he's going to do the opposite of whatever you want him to do. And they're going to get big games. If you try to take away the receivers, you got Kelsey, and then you got Kareem Hunt in the backfield to make up for it. So it's a mess. If I was a defensive coordinator, I'd have absolutely nightmares if I had to play them.
I'm with you on the Chiefs. Definitely a dominating performance. They're a team that, at home, when that crowd gets loud, the pass rushers can get after the quarterback better, the communication breaks down. They're going to be a good, maybe not a great defense, but they can be a solid defense at home when like D Ford and all them can get to the quarterback. I think that you can quote me on this, but if I do pick against them in the playoffs this year, it's going to be because one of the reasons probably because it's a road playoff game. They won't have that on their back, and the defense will be exposed. So you're definitely right about that. But you're right, the offense is untouchable. I'm going to go Panthers.
Okay.
Panthers win over the Eagles. Not as much about the win over the Eagles. Yeah, it's nice to beat the defending champs. But, sitting there with only 2 losses so far this season, yes, the Saints are ahead of them in the division, and that's pretty tough. But, I mean, you got to feel good about their wild card chances now. NFC East is down. NFC West, Seahawks are 3-3. That's pretty winnable. NFC North has a lot of teams battling against each other. So I think if you look at it, if they can kind of keep on this pace and maybe pick up a couple more wins, get to I don't know, maybe like a 6-3 record, you still have to feel pretty good about their chances. So I'm thinking the Panthers are in a good spot, especially with the Falcons not being as good, barely beating the Giants on Monday Night Football. The Bucs being 3-3, but I don't think a lot of people expect that to keep up. So Panthers, I think, are my team of the week more by virtue of them kind of staying in the thick of things and maybe taking that top wild card spot for the time being.
Heck, they could very well win the division. They still have 2 games against the Saints.
True.
I still predict the Saints will win, but I mean it's going to be a heck of a game both times. Really good defense is stepping up. Cam and Christian McCaffrey are doing a lot. Keeping defenses on their toes because both of them are dual threats out there. So it's interesting. I love what they're doing. Panthers, we'll see what happens, but worst case, they are definitely going to be a very strong 5 seed in the playoffs. That's the worst case scenario in my eyes.
Absolutely. Let's move over to surprise team of the week. See who you got here.
Jacksonville Jaguars, and in the completely bad way. I mean, this team is completely melted down. Blake Bortles hasn't played absolutely well, and for some reason everyone thought he was going to be this great quarterback all of a sudden. The way the media talks about it is, he just has to play average. And, sometimes Blake Bortles is going to have bad games. Everyone's harping how they paid him more money. And I don't think that was a bad choice, at the time or anything, because he has played all right. I mean, he's never going to be great, but he just needs to manage games, and the defense and the locker room, it looks like, is imploding on each other. Like, everyone's getting upset. There's not Paul Posnowski there, who's leading the locker room on the defensive side more than anything now. It's kind of the whole Saxonville mantra, this great defense. These guys are so good they don't even need an offense. It's finally gone to their head, and they're starting to crack under the pressure is what it seems like. Jalen Ramsey runs his mouth a lot. There's just a lot of tension in the locker room between pretty much everyone. I don't think Doug Marrone really has the coaching ability to keep them together. Tom Coughlin's the VP, not the coach, so he's not going to be there as much to help them out. But it's a mess, and you look at it this way, they sacked Deshaun Watson one time, and the Texans have given up the most pressures on a quarterback all season before that game. So for a team that's known for its sack artists and, sacks, pressuring quarterbacks, they just simply didn't do it. They just let Lamar Miller run for over 100 yards. I can't remember the last time Lamar Miller had a 100-yard game. I don't think he's had one this season for sure.
I think it was season opener. I think he did have one, but that's so when he had 6 weeks.
He ran
ago.
for 100. It wasn't even just 100. It was 150. They looked. Yeah. They were gashing this elite defense. They benched Blake Bortles. I don't know who's going to start from here on. I think you got to stick with Blake Bortles. I think you got to trust him because there are times where the offense has looked good. You look at that Patriots game; everything was rolling well. They just need to get back to that point. They need to calm down. They're panicking because they've lost a couple games. It's what all those, high-powered, superstar, teams with all these expectations is what happens sometimes. And that's why locker room and leaders are so important because it's not all about talent in the NFL because there's adversity. Teams that win Super Bowls aren't always necessarily the most talented teams. It's the team that has the best mentality, the best locker room, guys who are able to fight through the things that happen in a season because you're not going to win every game in the NFL. It doesn't happen. Patriots did it for a regular season one time, they didn't even win the Super Bowl. Going undefeated isn't part of the NFL. It's taking your lumps, it's fighting through that, and going on to the next game. Clearly, Jacksonville needs to learn about that quick, or the AFC South is going to be out of their reach. It's going to go to the Texans, Titans. We don't know who's going to win this division at this point the way Jacksonville's playing because they clearly are losing their edge.
Yeah, I think something that needs to be said, too, is they do understand some of their weaknesses. They're not able to address all of them right now, but they go get Carlos Hyde, and I think that really signifies they know they need to wear down defenses, keep on pounding the rock with a power runner. They don't have Leonard Fournette, so go get Carlos Hyde and keep the ball on the ground. Let Blake Bortles be a game manager. And please, for everyone's sake, don't start Cody Kessler. I know they're starting Blake Bortles in London this Sunday. But Blake Bortles is so much better than Cody Kessler. It's not even funny. And I know he's struggling, but it's crazy. So with you on the Jaguars there, my surprise team is the Cowboys, partly because of the trade. That was surprising to me, and I literally texted another Cowboys friend of ours, WTF, 15 times in a row, because I did not like giving up a first-round pick. But also because of the way that game ended against the Redskins. It was bad clock management. It was kind of everything. So they have a lot of time to get down the field and get a chance for a game-winning field goal. They spoil. They really waste a lot of time getting to the line. Then 12 seconds left, one timeout, the clock has stopped, so you get to call whatever play you want. And they decide to have Zeke run in the middle of the field, which still leaves them with an over 46-yard field goal attempt. So that's not doing enough for a rookie kicker. Like you need to be aggressive. You need to pass the ball downfield and get them at least 5 to 10 more yards. Do whatever you can, especially on a windy day. Go get whatever you can, and they just don't do it. To me, that's surprising. I know it's Jason Garrett, but it's still surprising to me that he didn't throw the ball 12 seconds with that timeout in pocket. I mean, you have Dak. I trust him enough. The one thing you can't say about Dak is that he protects the ball when he throws it through the air. Like, yes, he fumbles sometimes, but he does that. So they needed to do that. Then they get to that long field goal, and they get the snap infraction, which was a terrible call. Anyone can tell you that. The snapper, and they showed the replays, all the snaps were essentially the same thing, but they only called it on the last one. So it was kind of funny how they did this split shot. So Rodney Harrison and Tony Dungy clearly don't know what they're talking about when it comes to snap infractions. Pat McAfee actually called them out for that too, so that was kind of interesting. The famous special teamer for the Colts. So get that. They move back 5 yards, and then it looks like Brett Maher makes that field goal, bounces off the post. Would have been good if the snap infraction wouldn't have happened. It was a crazy game in the last couple of seconds there. Crazy mismanaged by the Cowboys. You could say they didn't deserve to win. Snap infraction didn't help, and the kicker did miss the field goal. So everything they could have done wrong is wrong. Have a lot of problems there. But that was a game. If they win that game, I mean, I'm not saying you're feeling confident about making the playoffs because it's still the Cowboys, but at the same time, take the lead. Beat the Redskins. Eagles are struggling. Giants clearly aren't going to do anything this year. So definitely surprising to me that it was that mismanaged and everything else that went on.
It's true. Answer me this. Are the Redskins going to win the NFC East?
No.
You think the Eagles are still going to win?
I don't know who's going to win. I just don't think it's the Redskins.
You just don't think it's the
because
Redskins?
The rush defense is good. Pass defense, it's pretty good. But I don't think the offense has the firepower. Like, I really don't. Like, I know they got Adrian Peterson running well right now, but at the same time, Alex Smith is not having as great year that he had last year when he was the Chiefs.
I mean, it's a lot like all the other Alex Smith Chief years from the years before.
True.
Before they opened up the offense last year.
True.
So, I mean...
What do you think? You think they win?
At this point, yeah. I mean, I think they've done enough that I like the formula. I don't think they're going to go far in the playoffs by any means, because it's going to be the same Alex Smith limitation. But, I mean, they're doing everything right. I mean, they've got Adrian Peterson just running the ball. They've got, good pass-catching options, like Chris Thompson when he's there. His backup even did well last week. Alex Smith's going to take care of the football for you, and then your defense is very stout in the front, and that's what you need. They play a zone. They got Josh Norman, who hasn't played well, but still, it's good enough in his zone defense that they don't have to worry about it as much. So, I mean, the only team it's not going to be the Giants. It's not going to be the Cowboys.
Oh, man.
It's not.
Steak.
I mean, they just lost.
Steak through the heart.
Especially with that loss.
They lost by 3 on the road,
They still lost by 3 on the road, but still, that's another loss. It's another L.
That's true.
They're building a hole.
Do you want? I'll take the field if you want to take the Redskins.
I'm not taking the field.
No,
I'm not giving you the field.
Okay, well then give me. You can have the Eagles and the Giants and Redskins, and I'll take the Eagles and Cowboys.
But I think right now it's the Redskins to lose. Eagles aren't playing well. I mean, there are Redskins fans that are getting hyped up. They're starting to. I mean, they keep winning games, so they're going to believe in themselves more and more. It's really going to come down to when they play Philly. I mean, everyone knows that. That's how it's going to go. I mean, it's going to go through. The Eagles can beat the Redskins. Division's theirs. Whoever wins those games is going to win the division, obviously. So, I think the Redskins are looking good. Eagles, Jekyll and Hyde, you never know what's going to happen right now. The running game's very blasé. Carson Wentz is starting to get back to form, but still there's a lot to be desired on the defense as well. So, there's just problems all around the Eagles, and I like how the Redskins are playing so far.
Dylan Streebig says the Cowboys can 100% win the division. Thank you, Dylan. Thank you for that.
All
because
right.
I think they can, too. They stick on the ground.
I don't think it's impossible, but I think it's the Redskins to win.
Okay. Well, then let's make a little wager.
All right. Cowboys, Redskins? You get the Cowboys, man.
I'm saying the Redskins won't win it. It's also with Alex Smith that starts in Kansas City, he also did fade down the stretch with that team, too. All those years. There was always a September team, and then they'd fade. But either way, it'll be interesting to see what happens down the stretch in that division nonetheless.
I'll bet you lunch right now. Redskins, the Cowboys win, I'll buy you lunch.
All right, we'll do that.
Cool.
100%. So that the NFC is definitely something to watch out for the rest of the season, as it's kind of a typical SEC East year. We thought that wouldn't be the case with the Eagles being really good, but that did not happen. So we'll keep our eyes on that. Now we're going to go to our fantasy plays of the week. I'm going to tell you for my picks this week, there's a lot of themes and a lot of games I targeted heavily. How about you,
Without
Cease?
a doubt.
Yeah.
Some obvious ones out there.
Let's start with the quarterback.
Yeah. I like Captain Kirk against New Orleans. New Orleans defense not very good. They do have Lattimore over there, so that will limit Stephon Diggs, but the rest of the team should be fine. Russell Wilson playing Detroit. Detroit have a terrible defense. Andy Dalton against Tampa Bay. You could probably throw Winston in there playing the Bengals as well. I like Derek Carr against Indy. Indy is going to Oakland. Sure, he doesn't have Amari Cooper, but it's not like Amari Cooper's been doing that well this year anyway. And then I like Baker Mayfield as kind of a very deep flyer. If you're not, because he's my starting quarterback in my 14-man league right now. It's him and Derek Carr. Derek Carr has underperformed greatly. So Baker's a good flyer pick. He's probably, fringe, probably 13th, 14th best quarterback to start this week against Pittsburgh. So those are my guys.
All right, Kirk Cousins also on my list, playing the Saints. Saints' pass defense is not very good. That's why they traded for Eli Apple. Dalvin Cook can play too. That'd be a nice little wrinkle. We'll see if he's healthy.
Right.
And then Dalton against Tampa Bay, who is the worst against fantasy quarterbacks this year, kind of as expected. So we'll see if he can bounce back from the Kansas City game, where that was also a defense that was not expected to be that good, but they kind of did well. And then Andrew Luck against Oakland. I just want the flip side of what you went. Andrew Luck's playing pretty well right now. I think T.Y. is going to be healthy for this one. Oakland
sucks.
Terrible defense, and they also pick up penalties, so I think there's going to be a lot of red zone opportunities for a bunch of those guys on the Colts and Raiders this week. So those are quarterbacks. Let's move on to the running back position.
James White. There's no other running backs at this point.
Kenyon Barner, man.
I know. We know. Kenyon Barner is there. Sonny Michel's out. Every other Patriots running back that we know of has stopped to exist besides Barner. Mm-hmm. James White's going to get the bulk of the carries, probably. So even if he doesn't, he'll get a healthy share. It's the Buffalo defense. They're not good against the run. So there's that. Joe Mixon's playing the Tampa Bay Bucks. That's going to be a good one. I like Philip Lindsay against the Chiefs. Chiefs aren't very good at covering running backs out of the backfield. They're going to be passing a lot, probably because they're going to be down pretty quick. And Royce Freeman is hurt. So Philip Lindsay is definitely going to get the lion's share, and they'll spell him with Booker most likely. Mm-hmm. So Philip Lindsay, and then I like Marlon Mack playing the Raiders. Raiders suck. Simplest way to say it.
I had Marlon Mack as well. He's played lights out since he came back too. Pass catching does it all.
No more 3 yards of carry for Marlon Mack.
No, definitely not. I'll go Lamar Miller against the Dolphins on a hot streak now after a 100-yard game.
A hot streak.
Miami Dolphins 30th against fantasy running backs this year, so I think Miller has a pretty good game, and they are going to stop, I think, and this week they did stop a little bit, running the ball as much with Deshaun Watson. He literally took a bus to the game from Houston to Jacksonville to avoid flying with how bad he's messed up on his lungs and everything. So he's pretty banged up. They need to pound the rock with Lamar Miller. I think they're going to get a lead in this game, and they're going to try to just kind of kill the clock, and he's going to be the guy.
Love a guy.
Especially with Deontay Foreman still out. Other than that, I have Matt Breida. Definitely tricky with his injuries every single week.
Who knows what's going to happen with the 49ers?
If he stays healthy, the Cardinals, while they do have the 12th ranked fantasy defense, are 32nd against fantasy running backs. So Matt Breida's had a great season. I think he's like the 15th ranked running back, and that should definitely be something that if he's healthy, he should continue to do. This should be one of his bigger games for the rest of the year. Wide receivers. My
man Devontae Adams against the LA Rams. LA Rams, good front seven. Secondary is very banged up. Aaron Rodgers is going to have to keep up with the Rams offense. So, all the Packers wide receivers are going to be doing well. Devontae Adams the most. A.J. Green, Tyler Boyd, those two are going to do well against Tampa Bay. I like T.Y. Hilton against Oakland. Adam Thielen against the Vikings, or not the Vikings, the Saints. Obviously, a rematch of the playoff game from last year. Stephon Diggs is going to get Lattimore, and that's pretty much the only thing to be afraid of on the Saints defense. So, yeah. And then I like Emmanuel Sanders versus Kansas City. He's been putting up good numbers. Honestly, he's more of the number one at this point because Demaryius Thomas isn't doing that much. I mean, he was 2 weeks ago they were talking about him being droppable in fantasy almost. He had a decent comeback game. He's contributing a decent amount. But Sanders, I think, is definitely the much more fantasy viable player.
And even throwing touchdown passes.
He's throwing them now. You never know what's going to happen.
Agree with T.Y. He was on my list because Oakland is going up against Oakland. Flip side, Jordy Nelson, now the number one receiver for Derek Carr, going up against Indy's pass defense, where they have a bunch of undrafted free agent at corner. So I think he gets a little
They're
more.
doing great.
I think Jordy's still a solid receiver. If Derek Carr can get him the ball, then he should have a pretty solid game. We'll see. Jarvis Landry against Pittsburgh, I think, is another one. You mentioned Baker Mayfield being against Pittsburgh. Landry and David Njoku are his two favorite targets. Those are two guys that I think if you have them, you're definitely starting them this week.
Definitely.
All right, tight ends. No Gronk, no Ertz, no Kelsey.
David Njoku, just like you said, Baker Mayfield's going to have a decent game against Pittsburgh. So he's number one target. Him and Jarvis Landry are. Jimmy Graham against the Rams. Same reason Devontae Adams. O.J. Howard against Cincinnati. Nick Vickrell's out, and Cincinnati has no answer for tight ends because of that. Eric Ebron, Oakland, not going to say anymore. And then also inverse of that, you got Jared Cook, just because they're playing Indiana.
Yeah.
If you really want a flyer, though, C.J. Uzomah. Bucks are terrible on defense. He's going to be in the top 10 tight end, so if somebody got hurt, your tight ends on bye. Uzomah's probably still available. We had him in our ad drop segment last week, so pick him up, throw him in there if you need somebody.
Dylan Streebig does comment, I don't want to start any of the 49ers or Cardinals this week. Then I would have to actually watch the game. That's a very fair point.
That is true.
That's going to be some ugly football over there.
So you bench David Johnson? I'm just kidding.
My tight ends, you mentioned Ebron against the Raiders. Yeah, George Kittle against the Cardinals. He's a really good fantasy tight end this year. C.J. Beathard's been targeting him too.
The Cardinals have been very good against tight ends.
They have been, but I think that's the only way they're going to get the ball moved is tight ends and some running backs. But and then I'm going Cook too against the Raiders. I mean, this is why I say I'm targeting games because there's some value.
There's some clear matchups where the offenses are playing absolutely garbage defense.
But you know what? Now that we're saying this, it's like one of those. If you talk about the offenses too much, the defenses get PO'd about it, and then they start playing good. But
New Orleans offense or defense is going to be pretty mad after they listen to this.
Oh yeah, they are.
They're going to really fire them up.
This is their bulletin board material.
Oh yeah, right here.
All
Joe
right.
DiTullio said. I mean, I don't even want to see. I'm going to get hate mail from Oakland fans after this one.
I think they hate their own team more than we probably hate them.
That's true.
I mean, they're leaving. They're not very good. They're blowing up the team in their last year there.
You know, I used to not understand why Mark Davis has that terrible haircut, but now I've realized I don't think he can afford another one.
I'll give him a buzz cut if he needs it. I mean,
Jeez.
geez. Just to get it off my TV
Come
screen
on,
every once in
man.
a while. Let's go defenses.
Patriots versus Buffalo. Good Lord. Chicago Bears, very good defense unless they're playing Brock Osweiler and the Dolphins. Blair playing the Jets. Sam Darnold has not looked that great as of late. Texans versus Miami. Brock Lobster is going to start.
Hey, watch out, man. You could have another good game.
Okay, man. Well, that's fine. Then you can sit the Texans defense and I'll take the points. Eagles are playing the Jaguars, who are... It's a London game.
Yeah.
But Jaguars seem to be in shambles, and now the lens is even brighter. So who knows? And then I like Kansas City Chiefs playing Denver's terrible offense. Except for Philip Lindsay, who rocks.
Oh, okay. Wow. Shameless plug for your fantasy team there. I only mentioned a couple guys on the offensive side for this game, but the defensive side, if you're desperate, Cardinals and the 49ers pick them up. Cardinals, 12th ranked fantasy defense, like I mentioned, and going up against the 49ers. C.J. Beathard put up a good fight the last couple of weeks against some solid teams.
I think he might go on my backup QB fan club list.
He might. He's still pretty good.
He's getting there.
He is.
We'll talks.
And 49ers, I mean, yeah, they're one of the worst defenses, but Josh Rosen literally just started throwing passes out there to the other team, basically. There was a pick route on Thursday night against Denver, and he threw it to the wrong receiver, the guy setting the pick. So he has some explaining to do. He's a lot of work to do. An interesting story by Dylan on the Game House about should the Cardinals bench Josh Rosen? Are they going to ruin them because they're in there without an offensive line? Some potential for sacks, some potential for interceptions. Definitely two defenses to start. And then I'll go Steelers versus Cleveland. Definitely looking pretty shaky in Cleveland right now. Did okay against Buccaneers defense, but that's the Buccaneers defense. I think the Steelers are a defense that are a little bit tougher than Buccaneers and can get the job done against Baker.
You're not kidding. But that's an interesting question. Can you bench Josh Rosen? Is that possible? Can you starting a rookie QB and then put him back on the shelf for the rest of the season?
That's part of what Dylan investigated. It's one of those things. You start him I think you'd rather sit him, but if you start him, do you pull him and kind of risk his confidence being shot?
Cat's out of the box, I feel like.
Like with David Carr, wouldn't you rather have benched him when he was back in the day rather than let him get killed? I don't know.
They should have never started him. That's the answer. Like once you start him, once you start a quarterback, rookie who is your high draft pick, there's really no going back to another guy on your team. It's just that easy, unless you have an old pro like Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers back in the day.
Or Sam Bradford, who set the completion percentage record.
You just got to throw Sam Bradford at me as many times as you can. But, you can't put that back in the box. Then it's always going to be, why is Josh Rosen not starting? He started before, because at least before you're like, he's preparing. Now it's just like, yeah, we suck. This guy that's starting sucks. But believe it or not, somehow this rookie quarterback we drafted in the first round is even worse than this guy. So...
Well,
that might be true at this point.
So you're saying you'd rather risk him get the crud knocked out of him?
I think the Cardinals were dumb for starting him in the first place.
I agree. I think everyone agrees.
Everyone knows
hindsight.
Hindsight is 20/20, but everyone knows you can't bench a rookie quarterback after giving him the starting job. You just can't do it.
All right. Well,
they just got to write it out now.
If he's David Carr now, it's on you. If he turns into David Carr,
it's on me. All right, that's fine.
It's totally your decision now.
We're laying it heavy today.
All right, let's go to the fantasy ads section. We mentioned last week we had CJ Uzomah. There's some interesting ones out there this week.
My favorite contract year, draft him if he is, don't if he signed a long-term contract guy, Doug Martin. Marshawn Lynch is on IR. Somebody in our league picked him up while the Raiders were on bye last week. But, I'm not going to talk about him here. That would be mean. But, pick up Doug Martin if he's available in your leagues. He probably should be. He will be serviceable. I'm not going to say he's going to be an all-star. But Doug Martin, when there's no when the expectations are, he's got to perform to keep his job, plays great. Unstoppable almost. He has job security. You might as well just throw that draft pick in the trash. Mm-hmm. But I like Tre'Quan Smith as well because he is a promising rookie. He's got some big passes from Drew Brees so far. But Ted Ginn is out for the rest of the season. So that really opens up the door for him to perform more and more. He's thrown some big passes to him, so Drew Brees clearly trusts him, so look for him. Ronald Jones, the rookie Tampa Bay drafted. Peyton Barber is banged up, so Ronald Jones is going to probably get more carries, and he has the chance to really win that starting job and cement himself if he does well. Kenyon Barner.
Yeah.
Who knows? Belichick's offense, he's got to start someone. Maybe he'll keep James White in that pass catching and then just give Kenyon Barner all the carries. I don't know. Maybe the Patriots will go pick up another running back, just trade for one. But right now, it's James White and Kenyon Barner, and Bill Belichick doesn't like to use just one running back. So we'll see what happens. Worth a flyer.
Had a lot of the same. I think there's just a lot of... it's a couple of straightforward ones.
No-brainers. Yeah.
So Doug Martin, you mentioned. I picked him up last week. I figured long term.
Well, that was you I was talking about.
Yeah, I figured picking him up early was better than late. So I think that's good. But I'd watch Jalen Richard on this week. If Doug Martin doesn't perform, he's at 3.7 yards per carry. It's not awful, but it's not great. So if Jalen Richard can definitely get some work. He's already going to be the third down back in the system. Doug Martin has proven not to be the greatest one of those. So watch him. I wouldn't pick him up yet, but that's someone to kind of keep your eye on. Also had Ronald Jones, Peyton Barber with that injury, and he's also getting more work anyway. Like he's starting to come on. I don't get why they had him inactive to start the year. I really don't. I know he had trouble catching passes, but it's whatever. Dirk Cutter is a little bit weird. Tre'Quan Smith, you mentioned Ted Ginn out for the season now, so that's someone to watch out for. Chris Godwin's still on a lot of free agent wires. He didn't have as great of a game last week. but I think he's still someone to
He
watch
should
out
be
for.
rosterable. I don't understand why people still haven't picked him up.
Yeah, I agree. So those are the guys. Those are the people to add this week. I'm sure it'll be a lot better next week for the waiver wire. Maybe not someone as like home run as Doug Martin, who's going to be getting all the carries, but maybe a little bit deeper after next week. It always seems to be that way after 8 weeks of the season or so.
Half the time, though, these home run picks, these running backs, how many times have we tried to, be like, this guy is going to get all the carries, it's going to be great.
And then
I'm so glad I got waiver priority this week, and then he's just terrible. There's a reason, because sometimes there's a reason some of these guys are backups.
True.
And one week they'll do well, one week they'll do terrible. Like, look at Latavius Murray.
True.
Is he rosterable? I guess he's rosterable. Do I trust him starting? No. I don't know. One week he'll get you 3 points, rush 15 times, get you 30 yards, and then you go look at last week where he scored 2 touchdowns. So I don't even know anymore.
Well, all these players are rosterable. Doug Martin's the one you have to add. He's getting the.
He's a must add. Yeah.
He's getting the volume, and that's the thing where you can't predict how he's going to do with that volume, but he's going to get the volume, so you have to go with it.
I mean, the waiver wire, really, every week you're adding dropping people because you're just trying to see what sticks. Because there's people I picked up at the beginning of the season. I just dropped Mike Williams. He's in some of my leagues because there are better opportunities for other players right now. That's just how it goes. He had some decent games at the beginning of the season. He's a sleeper. He could come back on later in the season. But right now, I need those roster spots because bye weeks are coming, injuries are happening, and I can't drop certain players. So that's just how it plays sometimes. So you just always got to be active. That's how you win. You're never going to win with your draft day roster. You got to pick and add. Everybody who wins fantasy football picks and drops up people. Half your team's not the same by the end of the season. Anybody who knows fantasy, has played for a while, can tell you that.
Everyone will have some sort of injury. Every team.
Every team.
All right, so that is fantasy football talk for the week. We are now going to go to picks for the week, and we're going to start with Dylan's picks for the week. Dylan picks games against the spread for the Game House every week, so make sure to watch for his articles to get all the picks. We'll share a little preview with 3 different picks here. He has the Giants as 1-point underdogs, actually beating the Redskins this week.
Ooh.
They are at home, so that's a little bit interesting. And the Panthers as a 2-point underdog against the Ravens, have them winning outright. I kind of like that one. That's pretty cool.
Is it in Baltimore or in Charlotte?
It is in Charlotte.
Yeah.
All right.
I like that one. I mean, I think the Redskins are going to win by more than 1 point. I think it's going to be a closer game than some people think, but I like the Redskins. I don't like they're going to limit Saquon, and then Eli's going to have to try to pass the ball. And maybe OBJ could go off because it's Josh Norman. God only knows. Or he could completely panic and he gets kicked out of the game. And
well, if they both get kicked out of the game, which team wins? Like which team?
Redskins.
Yeah, because they play zone defense.
Redskins 100%.
Well, I'm interested to see what does happen in that game because the Redskins did drop that one to the Colts. I'm still trying to figure out. That was a home game too. But those are 2. The other one, Denver. 10-point underdog against KC. He has Denver not winning, but he's taking the points there because 10 points is a lot of points in the NFL, especially because Denver played Kansas City tough the first time.
Yeah, but that's a completely different scenario because that's at Mile High versus at Arrowhead.
True.
Arrowhead's, both places are very tough places to go and play. So when we talked about the game at Mile High earlier this season, I said it was going to be interesting. The Kansas City Chiefs probably won't get off to a fast start because it is a hard place to play with the oxygen. Arrowhead's so loud that a terrible Broncos offense is going to have even more troubles communicating. So that's going to lead to turnovers, more 3-and-outs, just problems all over, and the offense is still going to roll.
So Philip Lindsay is not going to play well this week.
He will get his points.
Okay. Just Philip Lindsay's allowed to play well for the Broncos. No one else.
He'll get some points. They're going to have to pretty much give, here's what's going to happen. Chiefs are going to go up by a lot probably, and then Philip Lindsay, Emmanuel Sanders are going to get a bunch of garbage fantasy points.
Yeah, I agree.
Everyone's favorite thing.
No, I'm just teasing you.
Hey,
I agree with you.
He's my hero, man.
He is.
Don't let anyone talk smack to him either in the pile.
So, yeah, trust you on that one.
All right.
So those are Dylan's picks for the week. We're going to go to our picks now for all the games. These are straight up. We'll start with Thursday. The Dolphins and Texans. What a nice ones to have on Thursday.
Yeah, give me the Texans. I don't think Brock Lobster can continue with the magic over there. Texas defense should be able to do enough. They just got to make sure Deshaun Watson's ribs don't completely fall apart during the game, and they'll be fine.
Yeah, offensive line's bad for the Texans, but if the Jaguars couldn't take advantage of it, I think maybe they're A, figuring things out, or B, for this game, the Dolphins aren't the team to really make that a bigger thing. So I'm going Texans too. Brock Osweiler starting, so he's played well, but same time, Texans are going to win. They're on a hot streak.
Okay.
London game, another one. Philadelphia Eagles at Jacksonville Jaguars. That is kind of a home game for them. They always play their games over there, so it's almost a home game.
Man, I'm going to go Eagles. Both teams are underperforming, but I mean, I can't trust the Jaguars after that locker room that got reported, everything that's going on. I mean, defense does travel better on the road like that, but at the end of the day, I mean, I can't trust the Jacksonville Jaguars till I see them put up something. It's going to be a close game. It's probably going to be a sloppy game, but Eagles will prevail in the end.
I'm going Eagles too. Carson Wentz is the reason why, really. He's playing really, really well. They're not using the running backs as much. If you have those guys in fantasy, you know that. But at the same time, they don't need to. Alshon Jeffrey's killing it too. So
and Zach Ertz, never forget.
Yeah, he's okay.
He's got over 100 yards.
Yeah. But Zach Ertz is doing well too, but Carson Wentz, the offense, get it done. They do have another injury. Derek Barnett lost for the season, or at least placed on IR, and now they have a lack of depth in a place they thought they had a lot of depth. Josh Sweat, a mid-round pick, will have to fill in as a bench guy for the time being behind guys like Chris Long and Michael Bennett. So, but I still think the Eagles win in London. Jets at Bears.
Bears at Soldier Field 100%. I feel bad for Sam Darnold because he's just going to get beat up again. And then I'm interested to see how because the Bears defense is always going to be a given unless it's Brock Osweiler.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just always interested to see how their offense performs because I really never know what's going to happen. Mitch Trubisky could throw for 6 touchdowns. Trey Burton could get you 20 fantasy points in a game. I don't know what's going to happen. That's really what I'm always going to be interested in because that's really going to decide where this team goes by the end of the season. They're either going to miss the playoffs because their offense doesn't come together in big games, or, I mean, if Mitch Trubisky can throw for 250 yards and 2 touchdowns, 1 interception every game, Bears are going to win 80% of their games. Right there. So, give me the Bears in this one 100%.
He's on a hot streak. I'm not picking against him until he goes up a team that I think deserves it.
Right.
He's going. The defense is getting exposed a little bit. They did struggle with the Patriots. A lot of teams would, but teams are figuring out, if you throw the ball quickly, the pass rush can't get to you, so they're doing a lot of dink and dunks.
Tom Brady and the Patriots have been doing for 15 years.
And that's something Bears have struggled with the last couple of weeks. Jets, inexperienced quarterback, and Sam Darnold, I don't think they can do it at any rate. That
Broadway
can really
Sam, as I've heard them start calling it.
Oh, gosh. I mean,
right?
They are doing better than expected. Maybe you give Todd Bowles a decent quarterback and just let him run a defense, and I'm telling you, he's probably the most underrated coach in the NFL.
I know.
I'm telling you, man.
Every time.
All right, let's go Bucs-Bengals. Can the Bengals rebound?
Yes. Bengals are at home. That's a big thing, too. Tampa Bay doesn't have a defense. I think the Bengals will rebound. They give Joe Mixon the ball. Defense just needs to figure it out, too. They've had some injuries. As long as Andy Dalton can figure out not to throw the ball to A.J. Green every time. He's targeted 17 times last week. And he was being double covered in a bunch of different ways. Andy Dalton literally said in a post-conference they were playing a coverage I hadn't seen before, and that was his answer to why the offense sputtered, because they're playing a coverage and he couldn't force the ball to A.J. Green.
You hadn't seen? Okay.
Out of them, anyway.
Okay.
But either way, that's a terrible thing to say. Makes it sound like you literally have no idea how to play a quarterback in the NFL. If somebody pulls something new, you're just going to just completely not be able to play offense.
Yeah.
And but, I mean, he kind of regressed. It's a hard place to play 100%. But that's the regression. That's the problem sometimes Andy Dalton is he relies too much on A.J. Green. It's kind of almost like the Matt Stafford, Calvin Johnson Megatron effect, where there's one player that's so much better than everyone else. You kind of force the ball to him. You're always looking to him. And teams are going to cover that guy. And when that happens effectively, your offense just shuts down because you, for some reason, can't get the ball to anyone else. And, sometimes it's just a force of habit because there's been times Andy Dalton has used the other weapons on the team. He's used Tyler Boyd. He used Tyler Eifert before the injury. He still uses the other tight ends. So, as long as they don't focus on A.J. Green 100% of the time, they're going to be fine.
Hot take. Calvin Johnson, A.J. Green needs to do what he does and just retire so the Bengals can be better without him.
No. Terrible. Please don't say that again.
That's what I heard. Anyway, I think he's just so sporadic with what he does with A.J. Green. It's for me, it's like, yes, are some games where he targets him too much, but there's other games. He had 3 touchdowns on 4 targets the one game earlier this year, and it's like, you're in the competitive game right now. How does he only have 4 targets if he only has 3 touchdowns? And that's something that I don't know if anyone can answer that. But
I don't think the Bengals offense knows.
I don't know. But the Bengals should be able to beat the Bucs. I think it's closer than the experts think. I don't think their confidence can be anywhere close to where it should be for this game, even going up against the Bucs. I mean, after getting drubbed like that,
yeah, that's a rough loss.
Banged up on defense, like you said, with Vigil and everything. So I think this might be close, but the Bengals will come out with a win.
Yeah.
All right, Seahawks at Lions. Both teams are kind of sitting there around the 500 mark.
I'm going Lions. I don't like Seattle traveling. It looks like the Lions are figuring out offense a little bit better. They are using the run game more. I have to throw Carry on. I got to say it. 150 yards last week. It was great. He's on my bench in half my leagues, but it's just great to see him out there. He is available for trade, if anybody is wondering. Anyway, if they can establish the run and just play some semblance of defense, I think they can win this game. 100%. Seahawks aren't very good. It's really going to be Russell Wilson having to have a huge game for them to win, I think.
I want Lions too. They seemingly beat the good teams and lose to the bad ones. I think
but the Seahawks aren't good.
I think they're pretty average.
What happens when they play average teams?
Well, we'll find out.
Get that stat?
We'll find out. But I think Patricia will probably. I mean, he's played Seattle before, obviously, in some big games. He knows how to game plan for them and set them up in the position to win. And obviously, doesn't have all the stuff he had with the Patriots. But I like his chances in this one. You mentioned Seahawks not being the greatest team. Russell Wilson can't do it all by himself. I think the Lions win this one at home.
There you go.
Let's go Broncos and Chiefs.
Chiefs. That's it. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, we already talked about this one a little bit.
You know why.
Yeah, Chiefs offense, Broncos can't keep up with that firepower. I think it's closer than you think, but it's okay. I think Chiefs win. It doesn't matter. Win to win. Chiefs
I'm taking the points, man.
Okay. You taking Kansas City to win by more than 10?
Yes.
All right, we'll see how that pans out. Get you updated on Cecil's gambling addiction later next week.
Yeah, live tweeting.
All right. Redskins and Giants, talked about this one already a little bit too.
I'm going Redskins. I like their format. I like the way they're playing games. I like Jordan Reed's playing well too. That's a huge thing. Alex Smith does love his safety net. As long as he stays healthy, I think that'll be a huge thing for their offense. But I like it. I don't have any confidence in the Giants at all. I mean, it's all up to Saquon Barkley, and the Redskins are very good against the run, and they can rush 4 against the pass because they have a great defensive line. And that is going to be a nightmare when Eli Manning has to try to pass. Mm-hmm. So, it's that easy.
This is a classic NFC East duel. Might be like a 13-7 game at the end, but I think the Redskins win. That run defense is really why. I think Saquon is going to be slowed down. He'll never be fully stopped, I don't think, but he's going to be slowed down enough where the Redskins can win the game. I wouldn't be surprised. Honestly, I really wouldn't be too surprised if the Giants find a way to win. It's just one of those NFC East kind of throwaway games. But I'm going to go Redskins because of the run defense. Browns at Steelers.
Got to get Steelers here.
Or tie. You can go tie if you want.
I'm not going tie. If that happens, I'll laugh. But the Steelers are getting a little better. They're still not the greatest team in the world, but they are good. They are in the thick of winning the AFC North now. The Bengals are sliding down. The Ravens aren't there. I mean, it's always Pittsburgh's to win. They are going to be pretty mad about that tie, let's be honest. They're playing in Pittsburgh now. They're not in Cleveland. So it could get a little rough for the Browns. I don't think it's going to be that close of a game at the end of the day, to be honest. I think there will be a lot of points scored, but I think Pittsburgh wins comfortably by a touchdown.
Yeah, I think the Browns maybe took Steelers by surprise in the first game. Steelers
Ain't happening again.
dealing with a lot of stuff on their plate with all the stuff that was going on with Le'Veon Bell and the offensive line being mad. Steelers in a revenge game over a tie, I guess, is still a revenge game since they're expected to win. They're going to win, I think, pretty big. Browns are a team that I think I mean, yes, Hugh Jackson still does stink, but they've taken some steps forward. They're not the laughingstock of the league. They can beat a lot of the bottom feeders of the league. I think they could probably, on any given day, they could beat maybe 10 or so teams.
Here's my question.
Okay.
Are the Browns actually trying to win this season? I don't think so, because I know everyone sucks how they want to, but you get rid of Josh Gordon on some really weird
Well, you know what it is?
thing.
Hugh Jackson's trying to win. The GM's like, no, I'm firing him at the end of the year because this is my team. Because it's John Dorsey now. It's not. It's he didn't hire Hugh Jackson. He just kind of kept him.
And it's like, they're doing these things. Josh Gordon got traded away for nothing to the Patriots.
Josh Gordon's worth a 5th-round pick, I guess, because of the risk, and Amari Cooper's worth a 1st-round pick because of the non-risk.
Cowboys really screwed up on that one, didn't they?
Yeah.
And then Carlos Hyde gets traded to Jacksonville for next to nothing. And I'm like, why? Why are you getting rid of your running back who's having a very good season? I know Nick Chubb's young, but you can mix him in more. Like, you don't have to get rid of the other guy who's producing. I mean, we don't know Nick Chubb's going to do the exact same thing. Why not have a good running game? Worst case, get rid of Carlos Hyde at the end of the season. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. You could have just kept Carlos Hyde for the length of his contract, had that 1-2 punch, takes the pressure off of Baker Mayfield because running back's one of his best friends, So I don't know if they're trying to win. I think Hugh Jackson is. I think the players do, but Classic Browns as an organization, they keep making these things that they're trying to, for some reason, come up with this big future instead of looking at the pieces they have and trying to win with what they've got. I mean, because they're competitive now, and then they're taking away. These aren't additions by subtraction. These are all just hurting a team that is viable. I mean, is this team as good as it was when it had Josh Gordon and Carlos Hyde on it? No. Is it going to be better because of those trades in the long run? I don't think so.
No.
So it's just a big question mark for me. And I feel bad for the Cleveland Browns fans because, they look like they're, a year away right now from really being competitive, and they're losing pieces for no reason.
Yeah, good news is I think Hyde was on the 1-year deal. Still not worth the 5th-round pick in my mind, but it is what it is at this point. I'm with you. I think they're a team that could be decently competitive next year. We'll see what happens and who they acquire, what coach they get, since I think there's almost no way Hugh Jackson keeps his job. I think he said he's kind of going to go try to help out with the play calling duties now, and I don't think that's going to go over well with Todd Haley. So he's not taking him over completely. I don't think. But he's like, I'm going to help, and it's like, I don't.
Yeah, because those two are just going to. Todd Haley loves being told what to do.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be rough. So we'll see how that goes the rest of the season.
Hot take: Browns promote Todd Haley.
They might. If they fire Hugh Jackson, if they fire Hugh Jackson, they literally cannot make their defensive coordinator the head coach because it's Greg Williams, the dude who did Bountygate, and that would be a nightmare if they did that. So they have to promote Todd Haley if they do fire Hugh Jackson during the season.
You know how funny that would be? Have Todd Haley back at the top, ripping up walls, looking for wires, looking for taps, looking for aliens.
You're getting back on your reality TV show idea, I think.
It's Todd Haley in real life, though.
We need the not the Hard Knocks, but the All or Nothing Amazon Prime series on the Browns when Todd Haley's the head coach. That would be must-see TV.
I think so. I think they honestly win less games than Todd Haley's the head coach.
I think they win more games.
All right. Well, embrace debate.
All right. Here's a good one. Ravens at Panthers. Justin Tucker missed his first extra point of his career. 222 for 222.
Everybody panicked.
I think if anyone deserves a kind of a pass on one, it's Justin Tucker. I don't like kickers. Usually.
I don't know. You sound like he's on.
He sings opera too, so watch out for that.
Wow, that made me even dislike kickers more.
Okay, well,
somehow I'm going Panthers here. It's in Charlotte. Ravens offense is rough to be the best. Sometimes they're decent, other times they just look like garbage. Defense usually does carry well, but it's a tall order to chase down Cam Newton and Christian McCaffrey, so it's going to be close, but I go Panthers.
I'm going Panthers too. I think Cam Newton kind of gets going late in games, and that kind of stinks. I think he needs to focus on getting started earlier. You know that.
He ain't playing well the whole game.
That'd be nice. The running game is good. The passing game is gonna get there, especially Ravens' pass defense isn't the greatest. So I'm gonna go Panthers too because they're at home.
And they got Greg Olsen back, so
They do. We're agreeing too much on our picks, by the way.
all right.
Anyway, Colts at Raiders.
Ooh.
I'll go first if you want.
Oh, I mean,
I'll go first.
no, I don't want.
No.
I don't want to be influenced by your pick.
Yeah, I want you to be influenced.
No. Give me. I'm going Colts. God, this game's terrible. I trust Andrew Luck more than I trust Derek Carr. Both defenses are terrible. It is in Oakland, so I could very well see the Colts losing the game because traveling that far is a problem. But I mean, what does Oakland have left now, man? Like
Martavis Bryant, Jordy Nelson, Derek Carr, Muscle Hamster. Decent offensive line. Decent.
yeah, that's not much. Somehow they have less talent on their roster now than the Indianapolis Colts, and that's saying something.
I'm going Raiders.
All right.
You know, I think they get a couple more wins this season. I don't know which
This is definitely one of those barn burners.
I mean, they get it at home. They're playing a team that doesn't have a lot of talent, although they do have Andrew Luck. They're coming off of a bye week.
Sure.
John Gruden is a traditional football guy, so that should be the game that he does win, and there's no excuse for not winning. And I think, you know, that's one they can do. It's kind of buried on the slate with some other good games, and no one's going to be watching this one as much unless you have fantasy implications. So I'm going Raiders.
Yeah, this one's definitely going to be buried in the TV ratings, 100%.
Yeah. All right, Packers at Rams.
Got to go Rams.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to go Aaron Rodgers there.
No. I mean, I do love Aaron, but this Rams team's too stacked on offense. They're going to really exploit the Packers defense. Aaron's going to get pass rushed a lot. The secondary's not good, so the wide receivers, there should be a lot of yards, but at the same time, Aaron's probably going to get hit a couple times. He's still not 100% out there, so I got to go Rams offense pretty much, winning the game for him.
Yeah, I'll go Rams. I think it's maybe the defense though. That's my thing. I think Aaron Donald had 4 sacks this week. I mean, watch out, that dude's on fire. I know the Packers have a decent offensive line, but Aaron Donald he's a
and
man.
Aaron Rodgers is still hobbling around out there, so he's not as mobile
good.
as he's supposed to be.
Yeah, I'm going, and he's like you said, the offense is great too. The Packers defense can't really stop that, if I'm being honest. So Rams are going to win.
Yep.
Another one that's going to be buried on the slate, 49ers at Cardinals.
Oh, boy.
Tough one.
I'm going 49ers.
Your upset pick of the Cardinals didn't go well last week.
I know, that went horribly.
It wasn't even an upset pick because it was the Broncos. But you picked them anyway. It wasn't an upset. You just didn't get the double points for it.
It's fine. But, yeah, I thought I saw something, and I did not. It's that easy. I've never seen a quarterback just look completely unaware. I thought Matt Stafford's opener this year was bad. That was that times like 10. So, good God. Kind of mad I didn't start the Broncos defense in my Dynasty League. But other than that, I'm going 49ers. CJ Beathard will be okay, I think.
The new Matt Barkley.
The new Matt Barkley. Believe.
The new Brian Hoyer.
Yeah, the new Brian Hoyer. The torch of the backup quarterback has been passed on.
You could be a lot worse than CJ Beathard.
You could, exactly. You could do a lot worse than Matt Barkley. IR, RIP. But yeah, I like the 49ers a decent amount. I think the running game's good. Nothing on Arizona's team wows me. Josh Rosen's completely struggling too, so yeah, I have zero confidence in the Arizona Cardinals.
I think this is maybe closer to a coin flip than other ones, but the 49ers are playing at least good teams tough. That's improvement from the first couple of games of us thinking they were one of the worst teams in the league without Jimmy Garoppolo. But I'm going to go CJ Beathard too. Think even though it's on the road, I think they pick up the win here.
Cool.
Saints at Vikings, another one of the good games this week. Sunday Night Football.
I'm going Saints. Vikings defense has not been as advertised. The offense, I mean, it's going to be a lot of yards on both sides of the ball, it looks like. It's going to be tough picking Drew Brees, on the road, but it's still in a dome. So that always counts. It's going to be a rematch. You know the Saints are going to be pretty upset to this day. There's no way they haven't talked about that play. They've seen it 1,000 times. Every promo's about it. Saints are mad. They should have made that NFC Championship game, except for some stupid fluke play that happened.
Yep.
It's the same Saints team, basically. They're not going to be happy. They're ready to flip the script. They want to win. I'm going Saints in a close one.
I'm going Saints too. Vikings have.
You just can't pick against me today, can you?
Okay, well I picked the Raiders, so.
Oh, that's one.
If you want to pick first next week, you can pick first.
Gosh. Okay.
Or if you want to pick second next week, you can pick second. Anyway, Vikings have defensive issues. They really do. That could be really exploited. They have Mike Hughes, who has a torn ACL. They have Everson Griffin still out with that crazy stuff going on with him.
I don't even know.
So there's a lot of different things going on with them, but also the defense wasn't good when they were like kind of a full health and everything. So it's kind of hard for me to pick the Vikings here. It'd be a shootout game at best, and even then I'd probably still go Saints. So I'm going to go Saints here too.
Here's the thing. Question. If they don't make it to, let's say they don't make it to the NFC Championship game, is the Kirk Cousins signing just a complete disaster and mistake?
I think maybe on paper, but I would say no, because Case Keenum had such a good year that no one expected that it's so hard to replicate. I don't think I've ever seen anything in NFL history like that, and I don't think I ever will.
Nope.
That he played that much above what he actually is talent-wise. So, I mean, I think, yes, on paper you say, oh, we made an NFC Championship game with this quarterback around and got another one. But I'm not sure, maybe this is because the signing wasn't good, but I'm not sure Kirk Cousins at his best would be as good as Case Keenum last year. As bad as that sounds.
It's true. He's no Minnesota Miracle Man.
He's not. That is Gordon Bombay.
That's right.
There's a movie reference for the day.
Boom. Got it. I lifted it up there. Dunked it.
We'll go to the last pick of the week. This is Monday Night Football. This is one that you guys can find a nice book to read instead. Find something else to do.
I feel it's nice to have my Monday nights, not me stressing out, really. Who we got?
It's the Patriots at the Bills. Josh Allen's still out likely, so it's going to be Derek Anderson or Nathan Peterman, and that did not go well against the Colts.
Oh, yeah, it did not.
I'm going to write in your pick already.
Yeah,
so.
Patriots 100%. I can go to bed by 10:30. I'm pretty psyched about it.
You'll be playing video games way past 10:30. Don't kid yourself.
Well, at least we can just focus on that.
Mm-hmm.
The Monday night games are just horrible. I mean, they're always not great, but this year terrible. We've gone on. Last week, I think I watched a grand total of 10 minutes of the game because it was over before it began. Really, it was kind of on in the background. We were playing video games. I mean the fates of all these, it's either two terrible teams that I don't want to watch, or one team's good, the other team is terrible, and they're going to stomp them.
Yeah.
So I have no desire to watch that. I'm not going to sit there and watch the Patriots kill the Bills. There's no, I guess we analyze football here, but there's no analytical insight I'm going to get from watching the New England Patriots murder a terrible team. There's nothing insightful about it. We just know that the Bills are terrible. Mm-hmm. And the Patriots don't lose games to divisional rivals. They don't get trapped in games. There's never a game where it's like, wow, the Patriots really overlook. They don't overlook people.
Yeah.
They just trash people who suck. 100%. It's what's going to happen. Sorry for the Bills, but it's not going to be pretty.
I'm with you. This is the game that ESPN and NFL football alike are both happy that fantasy football exists, because that's probably the only reason why a lot of people are going to watch it, unless they're a fan of either of these two teams. One of the ones where
Who has a Bills player?
Sean McCoy. I think that's about it. Yeah, you don't want everyone else
having a terrible year.
Is Charles Clay still over? that was a joke. But
everybody's desperation pick at tight end, Charles Clay.
But this is if they didn't have fantasy football, I don't know why you watch it. So, and this is also one. If you look at how they pick the games at the beginning of the season, why is ESPN picking this game for Monday Night Football?
I'm really starting to wonder how ESPN picks games.
So some of them are bad because of
injuries.
Yeah.
I get that. It's fine, but who at ESPN was just Bills are going to be good this season? I'm like, Bills weren't good last season. They managed to make the playoffs
because Tyrod's a boss,
pretty much, and then they've let go of more people. They have a rookie quarterback. There was nothing that was going to... And it's the Patriots. It's not another team. It's a team that doesn't let, rookies rise. It's not like, oh, they overlooked this team or so-and-so has the career game that cements him as starting QB. Not against the Patriots. Maybe some other team, but not them. Very bad.
Yeah, so Patriots for me, too. I don't know if I ever made a pick. I just talked about how bad of a game it was. So Patriots for me, too.
Are you sure? I'll give you 50 points. You pick the Bills.
No.
Okay.
If I was starting a quarterback, I'd kind of like my chances just about the same as the Bills do right now. So
who's going to leave? Who's going to retire at halftime?
Derek Anderson?
Maybe.
I mean, he's got to be the front runner now.
You think they're like looking every halftime they're down by a lot of points and just looking around at the veterans? Like, I don't know, man.
There are so many coaches in the NFL today that I do not get what they're doing. Like, I literally, Dirk Cutter, Tampa Bay is one. I'd say Sean McDermott, who's getting rid of all the talent. Adam Gase in Miami is getting rid of all the talent. Like, I legitimately do not understand why they think that they don't need certain players. Like, it's just as much about the X's and O's as it is about the players on your team. Like, it's a good combination of both. And for some reason, they think that either their system can do it or the players they want to have is better than the system. I guess it's not really usually the case because the system is great.
This isn't college. You can't just... I mean, college is really easy to cover up your deficiencies with the system. Because college teams, unless you're Alabama, there's some stars on a lot of the big teams, but there's still holes on most of them, unless you're absolutely elite.
Alabama.
Unless you're Alabama, you have holes, and systems can easily exploit that. Patriots are probably the only team that's very good at systematically beating teams with a system. And it's really, if you think about it, not the most difficult to do. It's just hard to actually execute efficiently unless your team 100% agrees with it. NFL, you can't do the same thing. You got to have talent. There's superior talent that's going to break your scheme. Whatever you're going to pull one over on people is, it doesn't matter if that guy is twice as fast as everyone else you've seen out there. There are talents in the NFL that can blow up plays that are not even designed to be anywhere near them. They somehow track it down and get it. It's unexplainable. And for you to just go, my system's superior to just, 50, 60 years of NFL football knowledge and acumen is just stupid. You look at every team that's ever won a Super Bowl, how many have truly been, his system was unstoppable? Maybe the New England Patriots, but...
Well, that's what they said about Philadelphia last year, because Nick Foles came in and won it, but...
Nick Foles had one of the greatest stints of any backup ever there, and two, a lot of that was very aggressive play calling and a lot of luck sometimes. Let's be honest, luck did play a factor in that game. But it's not a system thing with that. It's not... Nick Foles clearly in that same system struggled early in this season. If it was truly just a system, why didn't it work the exact same the next year? It's because it wasn't.
Well, I will say, this is a coach I do understand, maybe not all the time, but the coach I meant is shedding the talent on your team. Those guys I don't necessarily get because they're going to be fired before you can rebuild a team in the NFL.
Not John Gruden.
Not John Gruden. 10-year contract, they're moving to Vegas. They don't have money to outpay his contract if they fire him. So him, I kind of get wanting to rebuild. If the front office is on board with the rebuild, that's fine. If the Bills wanted to do that, I don't think the front office is necessarily saying, let's tank if we're the Bills when we're making the playoffs with that team last year. Or the Dolphins who had, for a couple of years ago, yes, there was questions about Tannehill, but you had Ndamukong Suh, and you had all these guys. You didn't have a bad team. You could have, maybe not beat the Patriots, maybe get a wild card. That's what I don't understand with the NFL. I don't think I ever will. But that's
well, we talked about it this week. It seems like there's only a couple teams in the NFL that truly want to win.
Yeah,
I'd say the rest of them are just okay with making money. I know it's not a popular opinion. It's not one you're going to hear a lot. A lot of people just think it's dumb. But you look at some of these teams, and they make these weird moves. They make these decisions to not compete, almost.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make any sense from a completely pure football perspective. From a business perspective, it can make sense. You make as much money doing this. It's a lot easier, a lot less risk.
Well,
from a business standpoint, it might be a better decision, but from purely football one, it's frustrating.
It's one of those things, yes, everyone wants to win a championship. Not everyone wants to do the stuff that it takes to win the championship.
It's a risk.
Just go with Cincinnati Bengals. You got Mike Brown, owner of the team. He doesn't want to spend a lot of money. He doesn't want to do free agent signings. Bengals never win. That's just how it is. They don't want to win a Super Bowl. They don't want to go through what it takes to win a Super Bowl. In terms of going against teams right now that might want to win a Super Bowl, I mean, Patriots every year. I'd say the Eagles again this year. There's a small handful. The Cowboys, do they want to win a Super Bowl? No, because they won't tell Jerry to back out of the decision-making. They won't stop doing stupid trades like they did this week. Again, love getting Amari Cooper for the team, just not for that price. Teams like even the Broncos, think about what they did. They went and got Peyton Manning and paired him with a good defense to win a Super Bowl. That was a couple years ago now, but that is something that a team that shows they want to win. Other than that, there's teams like the Dolphins, the Bucks. I mean, there's so many different teams, the Bills, that just don't want to win or don't want to go put through that time and effort.
I mean, there's an element of risk. I mean, most of the there's a risk trying to compete for a championship. You got to spend some more capital than it's not the most secure thing. Mm-hmm. That's why most teams, after they win a championship or two, completely tank, because that's why dynasties are so lofted in sports. Because once a team wins, everything usually gets blown up because it's hard. You've spent too many resources. They want too much money. It's over. Mm-hmm. But I'd rather win a Super Bowl or two and suck for the next 5 to 10 years than be the Cincinnati Bengals that are, will they make the playoffs, not make the playoffs? It doesn't really matter because, as evidenced by Sunday night, they have no shot of winning anything. Maybe they'll win a wild card game, but they're not beating the Chiefs. Mm-hmm. Not beating the Patriots. So what's the point? You got to take these risks then. It's just like any other sport. It's like life. You look at all the most successful people out there. You got to take risks. Sure, there are times it's going to blow up. Sure, but worst case, your team sucks and you rebuild anyway. Because that's what's going to happen. You might as well try to win. That's why you're in the sport. Last
comment from me on this is I think it's definitely very hard to do. The recipe to make a Super Bowl team is hard to execute, but it's there. You want, for the most part, most Super Bowls, there are exceptions, you want a franchise quarterback and a top 10 defense. Aaron Rodgers' only Super Bowl so far was when he was paired with the top 10 defense. Tom Brady has had a lot of top 10 defenses, at least scoring-wise, in the NFL. So that's what you need to do. There are teams out there like the Colts. Are they really trying to fix that defense? No. And that's just how it is. So definitely teams out there who are like that, who do not want to go through it, do not want to build things the way they should. They might be owners who want to sell tickets. There might be owners who just don't care and just want to own an NFL team. They're all out there. But that is kind of what we're saying here. We'll see what comes down and who teams are really, really serious about it. Some of these teams making trades are either showing they're serious about trying to win or not. Some just aren't in a position yet to do that. They're building. Say the 49ers. 49ers are a team that I think are building. They're not necessarily, they're not trying to win a Super Bowl because I think they see it's unrealistic. But at the same time, they're building there.
Are the Cardinals not? The Cardinals are the same thing. I mean, they tried to win. They tried to go for a Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. It was clear. They were trading for people. They put all their cards in Carson Palmer because that's the best option they had. They did the same thing with Kurt Warner, and they almost panned out. And now they drafted Josh Rosen, and they're starting completely over. Mm-hmm. And that's just the ebb and flow. I mean, the Cardinals 5 years ago were in the thick of winning the AFC West every year, putting up 40 points a game, and in the playoff talk now they're terrible, and it's just the way it goes sometimes. Look at the Rams. Rams were absolutely terrible.
Yep.
Now they look unstoppable almost.
And sometimes you need to hire the right head coach or GM to convince the owner to do what's necessary too. So that's also a thing.
Yeah, man.
All right. Any final thoughts on football for the week, Cease?
I think we got it all.
All right, then we will wrap up our show. We'll be back next week, again, with all the fantasy advice we can give, all the fantasy plays, the recap of this week, and all of our picks for the next week as the NFL season goes on. For now, thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.